Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi won a landslide victory in Sunday's key parliamentary election, securing a two-thirds majority for the ruling Liberal Democratic Party in the lower house. This now clears the way for Takaichi to enact a conservative agenda on defense and social issues, and strengthens her position on the global stage. A fierce battle between South Korea's rival parties is expected, as the National Assembly is set to begin 3 days of formal questioning of government officials this afternoon. Snowboarder Kim Sang-yeom won a silver medal in the men's parallel giant slalom event, giving South Korea its first medal at the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympics. Kim's medal also marks Korea's 400th total Olympic medal since 1948. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. We begin today in Japan, where Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi led the country's ruling Liberal Democratic Party to a landslide election win, capturing a rare two-thirds supermajority in the lower house. The result gives her government sweeping power to pass laws and advance major security, tax, and immigration reforms. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
Sanae Takaichi and her ruling Liberal Democratic Party saw a landslide victory in Japan's general election on Sunday, securing a powerful supermajority in the country's lower house of parliament. According to results compiled by public broadcaster NHK, the LDP won 316 of the 465 seats in the House of Representatives in Sunday's vote. That is well above the 233 seats needed for a simple majority, and marks the first time the party alone has achieved a two-thirds majority in the lower house. Before the election, the LDP held 198 seats. The latest win represents a gain of 118 seats and pushes the party past the two-thirds threshold of 310 seats, giving it significant legislative power. When combined with the 36 seats held by its coalition partner, the Japan Restoration Party, the ruling bloc now controls 352 seats, or about 75% of the chamber. That level of control ensures the coalition can secure all standing committee chair positions and majorities across committees. The supermajority also gives the ruling camp the ability to repass bills in the lower house, even if they are rejected by the upper house, strengthening the government's hand in pushing through legislation. On the policy front, Takaichi has pledged to suspend the 8% sales tax on food for 2 years to ease the burden of rising prices on households. She has also vowed to revise Japan's security and defense policies by December, aiming to strengthen the country's offensive capabilities, lift restrictions on weapons exports, and move further away from Japan's post-war pacifist stance. In addition, Takaichi has been advocating tougher immigration rules, including stricter requirements for foreign property ownership and a cap on the number of foreign residents. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The National Assembly begins 3 days of sessions for questioning government officials this afternoon, with a fierce battle between the rival parties widely anticipated. The first day of questioning today will focus on politics, diplomacy, unification, and national security, with Prime Minister Kim Min-seok and ministers from relevant government departments expected to appear before the National Assembly to answer questions. The ruling Democratic Party plans to highlight its credentials as a competent governing party, emphasizing progress on reform bills and efforts to stabilize relations with Japan and China. The main opposition People Power Party is set to challenge the administration over negotiations with the U.S. on tariffs and question the effectiveness of the government's so-called pragmatic diplomacy. The session on Tuesday will focus on the economy, and Wednesday's session is on education, social affairs, and culture. South Korea's ruling party and government call for unity and faster legislation on real estate and U.S. investment, tied to a trade deal at their first high-level policy meeting of the year. Our Buniran files this report.
South Korea's ruling Democratic Party and the government have pledged tighter coordination and faster legislation as they held the first high-level party government policy coordination meeting of 2026. The meeting took place on Sunday at the Prime Minister's official residence in Seoul, bringing together senior officials from the party, the cabinet, and the presidential office to align priorities for President Lee Jae-myung's policy agenda. Democratic Party leader Chung Cheong-rae described 2026 as the starting point of what President Lee has called a great national transformation and leap forward. Key items on the agenda included a special bill to support Korean investment in the United States, which the ruling party says must be handled swiftly, aiming to pass the legislation by early March.
The special bill on investment in the United States must be handled urgently by the National Assembly to protect Korean companies facing uncertainty over the possible reimposition of U.S. tariffs.
Chung said the party plans to move quickly to approve the formation of a special parliamentary committee during Monday's plenary session and push the legislation forward. Another major issue was the planned establishment of a supervisory authority on real estate, aimed at cracking down on illegal practices that distort the housing market and harm ordinary citizens. Prime Minister Kim Min-seok called for a speed battle on legislation, warning that delays to the Special Act on Strategic Investment Cooperation with the U.S. are already affecting follow-up measures in tariff negotiations. On real estate, Kim said normalization of the housing market is essential to shifting the economy towards productive investment, adding that the government plans to establish a supervisory authority on real estate. Presidential Chief of Staff Kang Eun-sik also stressed the importance of rapid legislation, urging the National Assembly to speed up the passage of key livelihood-related bills and pledging that the presidential office will also make every effort to move them forward. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
North Korea had a Politburo meeting over the weekend and announced that the regime will hold a key party congress, its 9th one, in late February. Our Kim Bo-kyung tells us more.
North Korea will hold its 9th Key Party Congress in late February, according to the regime's state-run Korean Central News Agency. The decision was made at the meeting of the Political Bureau of the ruling party's Central Committee on Saturday, with a resolution to convene the party congress in Pyongyang unanimously adopted. A specific date was not given, but it is later than initially expected. The Party Congress is the regime's highest decision-making body, with North Korea being a one-party state where the ruling Workers' Party oversees all state institutions. The 9th Party Congress, the first party congress since 2021, is expected to assess the achievements of the past 5 years and outline key domestic and foreign policies for the next 5 years. Eyes are especially on what the regime leader Kim Jong-un might say about South Korea, the U.S., and how he plans to enhance his political status to consolidate his rule further. At Saturday's Politburo meeting, which was presided over by Party Secretary Cho Yong-won under Kim's guidance, members discussed and approved qualifications of delegates to the Party Congress, as well as the composition of the executive body, presidium, and secretariat. Kim Jong-un positively evaluated the preparations for the upcoming Congress and reportedly presented principles and specific tasks for its success. Recently, North Korea has been ramping up construction of factories, hospitals, and public service facilities, apparently as evidence of accomplishments in local development projects. Remaining projects are expected to be expedited ahead of the Congress. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
And North Korea's human rights situation can be a contentious topic to raise while pursuing a pro-engagement policy. But an independent UN expert says it can be a chance for cooperation. Our Woo Soo-young sat down for a closer conversation.
Human rights can present an opportunity for engagement with North Korea, not a cause for conflict. That's according to Elizabeth Salmon, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in North Korea, during her trip to Seoul. Speaking to the press on Friday, the expert said North Koreans continue to face deterioration of their rights to food, movement, and political and civil freedoms.
The overall human rights situation of the last 10 years showed no improvement, and in many instances degraded, despite reports of a few improvements in some isolated issues.
Ahead of a periodic report next month, Simon reflected on South Korea's latest policy to achieve peaceful coexistence with the North. Published Tuesday, the policy spotlights humanitarian cooperation in a more dovish than confrontational approach to human rights. While backing the push for engagement, Simon stressed that human rights should still be front and center of any dialogue with Pyongyang. But it can be raised not as a problem, but an opportunity to improve the lives of North Korean citizens.
We cannot put left human rights aside because they are not only, because the DPRK is a state member of the United Nations, it has a legal obligations concerning human rights. And finally, because when we want to speak about peace, we are not only talking about avoiding war, but we are looking for a sustainable peace, which means that that peace can guarantee human rights for everybody.
Now there's renewed speculation about potential top-level engagement between the leaders of North Korea and the United States. And well, while there's potential for human rights issues to be addressed, is there also a chance of having the human rights agenda cast aside?
Firstly, I think that human rights must not be left aside. But secondly, I think that at least some key points must be stressed during any possible dialogue. Reunification of families, the situation of detainees, prisoners of war and abductees, the possibility of the United Nations to work again inside the DPRK and to provide an independent monitoring mechanisms.
Simon noted with optimism that Pyongyang has accepted almost 50% of recommendations on universal basic rights, including on women.
As the first female Special Rapporteur on North Korean human rights, what stood out to you about the rights of women and children inside North Korea and the unique challenges that they face?
Well, you know, North Korean women are very courageous. They used to work in Jangmadang, these informal markets. They provide resources for their families. Secondly, the majority of escapees going to China, for instance, they are women, around 70% of escapees. So their role is tremendously important, not only as victims, but also like leaders and providing information and proposing creative ways to help their families, to help their children. As a Latin American woman, I am totally convinced that any improvement in human rights cannot be done without women and girls.
Simon also highlighted the rights of North Korean escapees as individuals, not merely victims, putting them at the center of designing psychological care and social integration. She also called for sustained coordination among civil society, governments, and international organizations to strengthen support and information finding. Such efforts should be diplomatized, not politicized, she said, stressing that human rights, peace, security, and development are strongly interlinked. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
With growing attention on robotics, the nation's largest robotics conference brought together the young innovators who will plot the future course of the industry. Events range from robot competitions to displays of inventive robots. Our Kim Jun-ong takes a closer look.
Agile, dog-like robots stride along a slippery, snow-covered course. There's no joystick or human control. The robots rely on GPS-based autonomous systems to read their surroundings and decide where to go next, while trying to avoid their rivals and unprogrammed obstacles. A few steps away, the snow becomes a testing ground for disaster response. This drone uses cameras and sensors to detect the location of people stranded in the snow, climbs up steep slopes, and delivers essential survival supplies. Behind every robot are young engineers, students, and researchers. Held annually in Gangwon Province, the Korea Robotics Society annual conference marks its 21st year as the nation's largest robotics gathering. Fueled by AI-driven advances and heavy investment in humanoid robots by global tech giants, this year's conference has drawn around 2,000 aspiring engineers.
We previously focused on building conventional drones and aircraft, but with autonomous navigation and object recognition at core, this competition has expanded our research scope.
The spotlight this year was on artificial intelligence and humanoid robots. Developed by an undergraduate student, this robot turns an ordinary portrait into a caricature.
After I have exaggerated face, I will extract all the lines from the face, like the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, and then I will transmit all the data into the robot.
Using patterns it learned in advance, the AI extracts facial features and sends them to a robot that draws a slightly goofy yet charming caricature. Student-built robots are only one piece of a much larger research landscape. Across the venue, experimental systems and humanoid robots show what the future of robotics might look like.
The key to robotics lies in balancing softness and strength, and I believe Korea is already competitive at a global level. Just as important as building robots are strong component supply chains and commercialization capabilities. But with a solid manufacturing base, I am convinced of Korea's strong growth potential.
With humanoid robots and AI reshaping the industry, young dreamers are taking their first steps toward the next era of robotics. Kim Junong, Arirang News.
Hello and welcome. I am your AI sports correspondent, Arirang. This section features AI-generated content and scripts, bringing you the latest news from the Olympic Winter Games Milano Cortina 2026. Here are our top stories. A 37-year-old veteran on Sunday shattered expectations to claim South Korea's first medal of the 2026 Winter Games. Snowboarder Kim Sang-kyum won a silver medal in the men's parallel giant slalom at Livingno Snow Park. Kim toppled world number 1 Roland Fischler in the quarterfinals before finishing 0.19 seconds behind the gold in the final. This podium finish marks the 400th total Olympic medal for South Korea since 1948. Kim knelt in a deep bow on the podium after securing the nation's second-ever Olympic medal on snow. South Korea's mixed doubles curling team on Monday won a third-round robin match with a dominant performance. The duo of Kim Sun-young and Jung Young-suk defeated Canada with a 9-5 victory at the Cortina Curling Olympic Stadium. Despite an early deficit, the Korean pair executed a 3-point fort and to seize momentum. It's the third consecutive win for the pair. However, a 5-game losing streak at the start of the games has blocked the team's path to the semifinals. High school sensation Yoo Seung-eun on Monday ignited medal hopes in her Olympic debut. The teenage prodigy stormed into the women's snowboard big air finals by finishing in 4th place in qualifying. Yoo showed her technical precision, landing a 1,260 mute to lock and a total of 166.50 points. Yoo now enters the Tuesday morning final looking to push for a medal. American skiing icon Lindsey Vonn is recovering tonight after a high-speed crash cut her Olympic return short. The 41-year-old lost control just 13 seconds into her downhill descent on Sunday. Vonn clipped the gate and slammed into the safety nets. She was airlifted to a nearby hospital for surgery on a fractured left leg. The injury ends Vonn's bid to become the oldest alpine Olympic medalist in history. Before we head out, let's look ahead. Appearing now on your screen are the current medal standings and the upcoming schedule for the Olympic Winter Games Milano Cortina 2026.
The piercing cold wave is about to ease, with temperatures getting much milder this afternoon. Seoul began the day at -10 degrees Celsius, but by the afternoon, it will climb fast to 5 degrees. For the rest of the week, there's no need to worry about extreme cold. Most areas will see temperatures above seasonal averages, bringing more comfortable conditions finally. Meanwhile, the air remains very dry in the capital area and the eastern region, so along with strong winds, since fire safety is very important. And this afternoon, Seoul will be getting up to 5 degrees Celsius. Daegu, Busan both topping out at 9 degrees under sunny skies with decent air quality nationwide. However, from tomorrow through the day after, rain or snow is forecast for most parts, while precipitation will mostly fall as rain. Colder inland regions and mountainous areas could see snow accumulation.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.